So the 2-camera interview setup is the bread and butter for a lot of videographers. You must be able to execute this well as a working filmmaker. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down a real world shoot that we recently just did. We're going to be breaking down the angles, the camera placement, most important, the lighting, and some tips and tricks for working in unpredictable situations. So let's go. So the first thing that we did when we came into the client space there is to kind of figure out where we're going to shoot, what is our angle. Now to do this, what you want to do is create the most amount of depth there. You never want to be back up against a wall. We chose this particular aisle because not only did it give us enough depth there, but it had these nice leading lines here, as you could see, framing up, coming towards the subject here. And then aside from the leading lines, I like the colors and the textures that was in this frame. I love the red jacket that she had on. So that's something also to keep in mind there as well, that a lot of people don't mention here on YouTube, is try and have your subject wear something that's not going to either be too matchy with the situation to where they blend into the background and not create enough depth, but also that doesn't completely conflict with the colors and textures that are in the room. So stylistically, it's industry standard to not have your talent looking directly into the camera as I am now. So your cameras are going to be placed just to the left of whoever the interviewer is going to be. So the main importance of a 2-camera interview setup is that when it is that you're able to have 2 cameras and you have your talent there, so you're able to cut between and stitch together sentences there, and it will appear seamless to the viewer. Now the way that you achieve this is 2 things. You want to make sure that your second angle is at least 30 degrees more on the focal length than your first angle. So in this case, I was using 35 millimeters on the wide/medium shot there. So then you want 70 or more millimeters on the secondary shot there. And then in terms of camera placement for the second angle there, you want that to be at least 30 degrees away from your main camera angle there. The reason for that is if you have it too close to the other camera, it will seem like you just punched in or zoomed in. It won't seem like a secondary angle. Then you want to be mindful of your rule of thirds. So you want to place your subject on one of the intersections of the rule of thirds. Next, you want to be mindful of space in your image. So you want to be mindful of headroom and looking room. Your headroom is how much space is above the talent's head. And then looking room, because they're talking to somebody, the image looks so much better when you have them on the far third and then there's space in the image. And then in terms of balance, another reason we picked this particular frame is that she's on one side, but you do have the olive oils and all the stuff in the retail store that she's talking about, giving you the leading lines, but also giving you balance. Now let's talk about the lighting, which is the most important part for getting a cinematic image. So this was a 3-ish lighting setup. I'll explain to you why it's kind of a ish in a little bit. But for our key light, we had our key light placed about 45 degrees there from the talent. Usually I'm a little bit mindful of the angle that we do there. With female subjects, sometimes you want it to be a little bit more high key and not have too many shadows. Take, for example, this Lakers documentary from Hulu. All the male subjects like Magic Johnson's here have a lot more stronger shadows on the male subjects. When Jeannie Buss is talking though, who's the Lakers owner, you can see that it's a little bit more high key and less shadows on her face there. So 45-degree angle, we're running the Nanlite FS300, which is a 300 watt daylight light there. But then we have this huge Nanlite softbox there to get that nice soft lighting. Now, the bigger the diffusion, the softer the light is going to be. And the reason I really liked this particular softbox in this scenario is you always hear people talk about the wrap that you get around the face there. So you do want some shadows, but you want that light to wrap as much as possible. And with this huge light, we're able to get an amazing wrap there. So the shadows did not look too intense on that side of the face there. And we're able to achieve this with just one light, which is why I said 3-ish lighting there, because we did not need to use a fill light because the wrap was so amazing. Next up, we did have a hair light, and we're using the Nanlite Powertube 15C there to give us that hair light. We had that set to 2700 Kelvin there just to give a nice warm hue on that edge light there, separating our subjects and giving them that nice pop of hair light. And then because the window light on the opposite side of our subjects was so strong, that was what was giving us enough fill. So we just adjusted for that with NDs on the different cameras there, and then we're able to get that 3-point lighting setup there with just 2 lights. We did have another light on set, which was the FS150. We did use it when we're shooting B-roll to just raise the tone of the room, but while we're shooting the interviews, there was enough light coming into the building where we didn't need it for the interview setup. And then the last thing that we did here was we did use an additional power tube and tape it up with some gaffer's tape into this little window on in there that's behind the talent, just to kind of motivate that light and kind of light up that area behind the talent there. This video is not sponsored by Nanlite, but Nanlite did send these lights over to me just to test them out and see how they do in different scenarios, and they worked out amazing. And then for audio, we had a shotgun mic over the talent, and then we double mic'd our talent with lav mics. Running cinematic interview audio is just as important, if not more important, than our video. Make sure you double mic so that you get 2 sources in case something happens with the other. So once you have everything set up, go ahead, make your talent feel comfortable, hit record. And then once you get your things back to your editing software, you could chop it up for what you need. You could change your different angles there. If you want to see an in-depth breakdown on how I edited and color graded this particular interview here, go ahead and click this button right here when it is ready, or hit the subscribe button and the notification, and I'll see you when that video gets posted, or I'll see you over here in this video. Big up yourself. Peace.